Welcome to our very first episode of Dietz'in Around. The premise of these videos are that I'm just messing around in the kitchen. Nothing is too fancy, anything like that, but I get an idea in my head and I just want to roll with it. Today, what I am going for is making the biggest grilled cheese that I am ever going to eat. We're going to do this, we're just going to layer it back and forth constantly. We're going for about 10 layers. We'll see how big it actually gets, but this is just a big, greasy, sluggish food. I'm so happy you're joining me for this, so let's get cooking. For the sake of eating more than just cheese and bread, I'm going to caramelize an onion. When cutting up your onion, make sure your cuts are big because they are going to cook down a lot. To caramelize our onions, I'm going to be using a mixture of oil and butter. If you try to only use butter, your butter is definitely gonna burn. Once melted, go ahead and throw in your onions and add salt for flavor. Your stove should be on low heat because in order to get the natural sugars in the onion to appear, they'll have to cook for about an hour. Come back to your pan every once in a while and give it a stir. Very early on, I realized I played myself and added way too much oil and butter. The onions should stick to the pan a little bit, but mine won't. Time to make the simplest garlic butter in the world. To some softened butter, add dry parsley and garlic powder. Give her a good stir and you're done. Pro tip coming right at you. Butter your bread all at once so you're not scrambling to do it later. Buttering bread is like applying sunscreen. If you miss a spot, you're going to have a bad time. So make sure your bread is completely covered. Go ahead and repeat this process until one side of all of your bread is buttered. Our assortment of cheeses include a fine mix of everything that is taking up space in the fridge. Use whatever you like. Now it's time to start making our grilled cheese. First thing to do is put down a layer of cheese. Any cheese will do. Next, plop a couple of onions down and spread them out. Cover the onions with cheese and put a piece of bread on top with the buttered side facing up. Now your heat should start on a medium-low because with time, that pan is going to be rip-roaring hot. Once the bottom is toasted, flip the sandwich and build another layer, just like we did before. Now, we're just going to be doing the same thing over and over again, constantly layering with bread, cheese, and onions. A few construction tips for you. Start with smaller pieces of bread and slowly work your way up in size. This will give you a better base when the sandwich gets taller. Another tip is to try to center your bread as much as possible. Any mistakes will make things difficult later on. Okay, now I have to be a little more careful when I'm flipping the sandwich. And I'd be lying if I said this thing wasn't starting to remind me a little bit of Jabba the Hutt. At this point, your sandwich is going to be a little unsteady. And that's okay, this sandwich was never meant to see the light of day. But to keep it upright, push it together like it's a deck of cards. At this point though, you get the idea. Layer the sandwich and flip it. It's that simple. The only thing I'm doing different is I'm toasting the top piece of bread separate. That's because this little piece of bread is not going to hold up the whole sandwich. Once that's done, top that baby off and cut her in half. Make sure you don't use too much pressure or your sandwich might slump out of place. And just look at all those layers. Ooh, baby. Guys, this thing is kind of disgusting. I mean, it is so, I don't know how well you can see it, but there's so many layers of cheese and bread and onion, we'll see. I am excited to try it. We'll see how it goes. I don't even think I can get my mouth around it, but we're gonna bite into this and see what happens. Well, it's super greasy, obviously, between the cheese, the onions, and the butter. You know, I get a lot of garlic. It's not too overpowering, but a lot of garlic from that butter I mean, one bite it felt like eating 1 or 2 whole grilled cheese sandwiches in itself. So it's a big sandwich. It's gonna be a big one, you know. But we were just Dietz'in around today, and that's what it was all about. So just experimenting with this. This is one big grease ball. I'm happy I did it. I don't know if I'd ever do it again. I'm definitely not finishing this sandwich, but I am very happy I did make it. And thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Dietz'in Around. Go ahead, like and subscribe to the channel. Comment below if you think it's a good idea to try to take on this sandwich. Check out some of our other videos, and we'll see you next time.